it's right after the bridge, so we might not. Yeah, we're not going through Budapest right now. I think. But I think you're gonna go over there. This is clogged anyway.
Power of a symbol. Hey, welcome to Whitefields Community Church Missions Extra. Good to have you with us today. We're coming today from Budapest, Hungary, and I'm here with Pastor Cady. He is the pastor of Whitefields Community Church in Longmont, Colorado, but we're not there now. We're here in Budapest, Hungary, and what brought us here is the last chapter of 1 Corinthians chapter 16, which brought to the close our Grace and Truth, a series of Grace and Truth, looking at Paul's letter to 1 Corinthians. Just a great time going through this book, and we are here right now in the midst of a crisis, and of course it's the Russia attacking Ukraine, and for us as a church, we support many missionaries there, and we just wanted to be here and to help them. But we had been scheduled to come for a conference anyway, and of course the conference was canceled, and so we were going, we're just kind of talking with each other, and this verse kind of stuck out, and it kind of was the springboard from which we, sprung, so to speak.
I think we were thinking about, maybe we should go, we can help out, but then we read this passage, we studied on Sunday, and it was so clear. It so spoke to our situation.
Because, what we're thinking is we're going to go over there, what are we going to do? What are we going to go into a war zone? Or are we going to do what is it that we'd actually do? And it was just kind of so clear to this, and you shared this with the church. So if you missed that, it's 2 weeks ago. Get over to whitefieldschurch.com and you will find the sermon. Download 1 Corinthians chapter 16, and I can't remember what the title was. Do you remember what the title was?
I don't. It's been a year. It feels like it's been a year since.
The grace of giving.
It's called no. Giving grace.
Giving grace. That's right.
It was kind of play on words.
Yeah. It's been a long week here in Budapest and our travels into Ukraine.
What time is it right now, Mike?
I have no idea.
It's 11 at night.
Yeah, we haven't slept a lot since we've been here, but we're going to get through this mission extra because you're going to be blessed by it. But so giving grace is the name of the sermon. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, all your favorite, all that stuff that you do with platforms and listening stuff, thumbs up, do it all, get it done.
Go listen.
Go listen.
Share it.
This is important. But this particular verse, Paul says there in verse 17, I rejoice at the coming of Stephanas, Fortunatus, and Achaicus, because they have made up for your absence, for they refreshed my spirit as well as yours. And so let's just kind of talk about that, and just how kind of share how that came about. How do you just kind of share that with the church? We're just going to come here and be here and see what the Lord does.
Yeah, sometimes one of the things I've often said to the church is a little bit cheesy, but sometimes there's a lot of truth in some of those cliche statements. One of the things that we sometimes say is, sometimes in God's kingdom, the best ability is availability, making yourself available and being there. And I think just our history in this area and our history with these people in particular, pastors and leaders in Ukraine, there are almost 20 Calvary chapels in the country of Ukraine that we have had the privilege of serving alongside of and ministering to for several years. Many of them have been to our church even, and so our church members know them. They became refugees, or they're serving people in the country. So many of them left the country, others are serving in the country. And so it wasn't just I wouldn't say that just anybody should come when there's a crisis, just show up on the doorstep. But I think that there are some people who their presence actually is encouraging and helpful because of the relationship. The first night when we arrived here in Hungary, we went down to our conference center. Calvary Chapel has a conference center in southern Hungary. We went down there. Here's what we did. We got a car at the airport and we just drove. We stopped at a missions organization to get some official papers. And then we drove down to this place and just hugged our friends and missionaries. And I sat with one group and you sat with another group. And there were tears, there were prayers. They're telling me about their way of getting out. But these are people who just lost their lives because Ukraine wasn't just a mission field for them. This is their home. And most of these people, those who are Americans, almost every one of them has a Ukrainian wife or a Ukrainian family member of some kind. Others of them are Ukrainian. I mean, these are people who've been through a lot. And so our desire was to come and be with them and be present and be available. And another part of it was we wanted to bring some resources. One of the things that this chapter also talks about, Paul is talking about bringing financial gifts to the other Christians in Jerusalem who are in need of financial help. And so he says, this is how we are acting as the body of Christ, is when one part is suffering or has a need, the other parts meet that need. And so we said, we want to be there, and we know that they're going to need funds to do relief work. We know that we can probably help make some relationships. One of the things that we did is we made some relationships with people in Hungary. And so we were able to do that. What are some other things we did?
Yeah, well, we definitely hit the ground running. Like after, those hugs and things like that, the next day, I was leaving for Ukraine, not sure what was going on. I had a lot of money on me, and we were tasked with getting vans. One of the biggest needs was just getting supplies into some of these cities, and so just beginning there, making a trip, getting to the border, we filled the van with supplies, medical supplies. We had blankets and all kinds of other things, and baby food and all these kind of things. And one of the very interesting thing was, this is how our journey began. It was that we were told up until this point, so it's early on. I mean, it's early on in the war at this point, which was, it's only been 8-9 days long, but one of the things that everybody that's bringing supplies through the border, they're getting confiscated by the Ukrainian military and being sent to the front lines, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We wanted to get help, but we had specific things that we wanted to get. So it was just very hard for people to get across the border. And so our first encounter was with the Hungarian guard, and he just kind of engaged us and was like, well, I could go through these papers and I can go through the next 20 minutes and make this all official and or I can just give you these papers with like a wink in his eye, and this is your personal stuff and you can go. And we're like, we'll do that one. We'll just do that. And then we get to the Ukrainian side, and we're told they're going to go through all the stuff, they're going to unpack it, they're going to do everything. And we go to the booth, and the first thing they ask us for is our COVID cards, and because of course that's still important, and our COVID insurance, and which we didn't get. But we managed to get past that particular obstacle, and then we go to the customs guy, and we put down our paper which says we're working with Eastern European Mission, and this is who we are and stuff like that. And he just kind of puts that to the side. And John Markey is one of our missionaries who support. He's with us, speaking Ukrainian, and he's like speaking to the guy, and he just, okay, go. They don't open the van, they don't touch anything, nothing. They just sent us on our way. We crossed the border. It was easy as that. And so, because I was stressed out at this point, like we're going to be going through all of these searches, and we're going to lose all the stuff that were brought in, and it was going to be a bad beginning to our journey. But that was the beginning of a very fruitful couple of days. We go and get some vans, and I'm paying $10,000 cash for a van, and then it's just get a receipt in Ukrainian, and then we drive these vans off to Lviv, and then finally onto Chernobyl. And then we were able to hand one of these vans over to somebody who was up near Kiev. There's this guy, Yura. They're going to probably write some kind of story and make some about this guy. He has been going into Kiev around the eastern side and just getting people, just making trips every single day. And just pray for him. This guy's name's Yura. And he's amazing. And
he went up to Bucha, which is like the front line. That's like heavy fighting. And he was just getting people out. And at one point, his Volkswagen van, gets shot up. He doesn't get hit. He's fine. He walks away, walks back, ends up getting home, which is not even close. Like, it's like an hour or more away. Ends up getting home. By car. So he ends up getting home, gets another van, goes right back in.
And that was our van that you guys were able to purchase through, many of you have given through Whitefields Church. We're very, very grateful for it. And that guy is driving the van that we purchased for him, and he's just going back and forth getting people out of the war zone as the Russians have kind of closed in and things have got a little bit more dire. But so these kind of things are happening. So many amazing stories that we're hearing from. We got to spend some time. We were picked up from Lviv and then taken down back to the border. 2 of us, Pastor Phil and myself, and we got to spend this 5 hours with this Ukrainian couple. They love the Lord, and it just was amazing to hear their stories and their faith in the Lord. They have the ability to go to Denmark. He has a grandmother in Denmark. They don't want to. They want to stay here and help their family. We gave them $250 for helping us, gas and going through all the roadblocks and all that stuff. And he sends us a picture the next day. He took all the money, he bought supplies, and he sent them all to Kiev. And so it's just kind of these things that that they're happening. There's so many of these kind of stories that we've been involved in. And, you, of course, were here on the Hungarian side, doing a lot of stuff with the Ukrainians coming over and just kind of placing people, right?
Yeah, so I was at the conference center, but I was helping out our missionaries, just spend time with them. But also many of them, one guy drove 70 plus hours to come to Hungary. It wasn't because it's that far. It's because it was just stop and go traffic the whole way and waiting for hours at the border, roadblocks, etc. So their cars are just trashed, right? So I helped them take their cars. I can speak Hungarian, got them to mechanics, helped them get official papers. I went and spoke at a church and really kind of tried to rally the Hungarian people who are at this church. And they're so open-hearted and good. They have done such an amazing job with the network of churches here, providing hundreds of homes for refugees. Churches are having Ukrainian translation, perhaps even Ukrainian church services. So it's really cool to see the body of Christ coming together to serve in these times. And there's a lot going on, but I'm just so glad that we were here during this time.
Yeah, no, it's been a very emotional time, I think, for both of us, just being with those that, these are the missionaries that we love and care for. As a church, we support. You guys care for them. You've met many of them, and it's difficult to see such devastation, not just kind of as a country, but just, emotionally in their lives, their families, and not knowing what the next steps are and these kind of things. So these are definitely things, I think, as a church, we can continue to pray for, because this is going to be a long time recovery for many of them. And it's just something to think about, and as I told you, just go find their names up on the wall there, the ones that we support: Levi, the Brinkerhoffs, and the Medlongs, Ben Morrison, who's still in Svitlobodsk right now. He's turned his church into a reception center, right? And whenever the bomb raid sirens go off, they go down into the subway stations, and he's doing ministry down there and just kind of defying the Russians like only Ben can do.
Yeah.
And
that's right. He's made for this.
This. So it's just been really good. And Ben Morrison, the Marquis, John Marquis. You can pray for Aaron Marquis, his brother as well, and George. And did I forget somebody?
We talk about Aaron. We talk about Nate Medlong, Levi Brinkerhoff.
Levi Brinkerhoff, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're just, really, they really need our prayers right now and our thoughts just to think about, all the things that they've gone through, the next steps. They don't have a home. That's been their home.
And not knowing when will this end?
Yeah.
Will we go back home? I was with some of them. I was driving them and taking care of them. And many of their Ukrainian family members had come too. And so we were driving, and at one point an airplane, just like a passenger airplane, flew overhead. And people were panicking, and because they've just come out of this place where airplanes flying over is bad, and just think this is trauma. Like they've been shocked. They're gonna need to recover. You think about the kids who've left behind friends, toys, and these people who've gotten to safety. They are consumed constantly with thinking about what about those who are still in
behind,
Ukraine. We've heard of our friends just basically spending all of their money, giving money to friends, through apps and stuff to help them who are still in Ukraine. I was then driving again. We heard an ambulance drive by, and again, same thing. Panic, heart rate goes up because it reminds them of the sirens that they were hearing, the air raid sirens. So we really need to be praying for them. They've been through a lot. But also when this crisis ends, if the war were to end tomorrow, which it's likely that it's not going to end right away, I don't know how long, I hope it ends right away. But even if it were to end right away, there's going to be a huge need to rebuild, to show the love of Jesus in practical ways in Ukraine for a very long time.
Yeah, and so I think, as we're going forward as a church, I think this verse is still great for us to bring refreshment and be able to, and by, as you talked about, just bringing gifts, so, we're gonna ask, if there, Lord puts it on your heart continue to give towards this cause. This money is going to support these missionaries. Those the rebuilding now is going to support efforts to extract people from Ukraine. Is also going, providing, like we there's no baby formula right now in Ternopil. And when we were there, when we went back to Lviv, we went to a store and we took all the baby formula off the shelves, and we told the lady this is why we're doing it, and she was helping us pack our cart with as much as we could stuff in there for newborn babies. There was nothing in the city. All the stores are closed.
That's a city that is twice the size of Longmont. And no baby formula in the city.
No baby formula, not at all. And they have a lot of newborn babies there. And, and so we packed our van and that baby formula, we bought all of that on the church card and we sent it back to Ternopil for those kids. So those kind of needs that they really needed. We heard they needed power packs for the soldiers need power packs for their phones, and for people that are the power goes out and they're trying to coordinate stuff. And so we went to a Home Depot here, and we bought like 40 power packs and took them with us and all of that would have been confiscated at the border if it wasn't for the miracle of the Lord. And we'd be able to put that in the hands of people, who are out there, in these cities doing this, So
we made a great connection with this. It's called the Eastern Europe Mission. It's a Hungarian nonprofit. We went in their warehouse, just baby food and insulin, and all kinds of stuff, like the stuff that they immediately need. In Ukraine. So what these vans and all these things, they're being used by people inside the country to transport insulin, baby food, cancer medication, that was one. And also then to bring people out, pregnant women, orphans, children. I mean, people who really need to get out and they don't have cars, they need to get out. So your money is really being put to good use. I talked to someone on Sunday before we left for Hungary, and he just handed me some money and he said, help a child. And so I can say, that is being done.
We've helped many children.
And there is, I guess I'm saying that there's more to be done, and we're not going to be the ones to do it. So be praying for the people who are on the ground doing this. These are real heroes, and
so definitely go ahead and make sure you listen to that sermon, 1 Corinthians chapter 16. And as you think through that, just think of just the practical application of it that can be for today in your life. and a way for you to be involved in gospel ministry and bringing refreshment to those here in a war zone here in Hungary and in Ukraine, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Moldova, where they're coming across in droves. And we're just a joy for us as a church to be a part of it. We're just so overjoyed that you as a church have stepped up in this moment of need. So check that out, whitefieldschurch.com, and Pastor Nick and I are coming back real soon as we just kind of wrap up things on this end. We look forward to seeing you. All right? God bless.